A lot of entrepreneurs think that they need better discipline or more productivity, but what they actually need is a deeper understanding of how they're wired. It can be really hard to optimize a system that you don't understand, and if your brain is trying to force something that it isn't built to, of course you're gonna fail every time and feel like you're not being disciplined enough. So stop telling yourself you're broken or that you're hopeless. Watch the rest of this video. I'm Jesse, I'm a mental performance coach, and I work with 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, helping them to implement better systems and routines tailored to how they are wired in order to scale their businesses. This helps them save time, make more money, and have that time to spend it where they really care most. I've gone through a number of different systems, trial and error, figuring out how I can be most effective and most productive. And especially living in a place like Miami where everyone's aspirational, ambitious, trying to accomplish certain goals, there's a lot of popular trends that pop up. For example, there's the 5 a.m. club, getting up, getting a full workout in the gym all before the sun comes up. Ultimately, it's not that that system in itself is broken. Obviously, that works for many people. However, that's not designed for how I operate. It's okay to be different. Not everyone is wired the same. And when I'm talking about wiring, what I mean is we all have different cognitive styles. Some are more linear thinkers, others are more intuitive thinkers. Not to mention, we all have different energy rhythms. So you've all heard of circadian rhythms tied to the sun. We all know that we're all going to have more energy throughout the day versus over the middle of the night. Alongside that come ultradian rhythms, and those are our natural productivity rhythms that we all have during different times of the day in different durations. Now what they are 90-minute waves of optimal productivity followed by about 20 to 30 minutes of an ultradian healing response, and that's your body's response to recover in order to gear up to be productive again. And that's on average. Now with that said, there are different people that operate differently within those average waves. What that means is people have different tendencies when it comes to deep focus. Some might be able to immerse themselves in deep work for that full 90-minute period, whereas others might benefit from bursts of productivity with quick intermittent breaks, whether that's getting up and stretching. So what works for a 6 a.m. gym bro that has a 9 to 5 that needs to get up and go into work and can completely separate parts of their lives, that might destroy a creative founder or entrepreneur that does their best thinking at 10 p.m., which means they're up until 1 a.m. and have to sleep in a little longer. So there's no perfect formula for everyone, and that's why it's so important to understand how are you wired. Productivity systems only fail when they don't match the personality of who they're operating for. And so if you're trying to use a system that's built for someone else that you saw on the internet and said, oh, well, I want to be like that person, let me try what they're doing. Fuck, why isn't it working? Why am I not disciplined? Why can't I sustain this motivation or consistency? Well, you're using a system that's not designed for you. It's designed for whoever it was working for. Now, if you took absolute structure and absolute flexibility, they are not binary, existing in separate realities. They are on a spectrum. Some people might have to operate on complete structure, full time blocks, no empty spaces in their schedule. Another person might operate better with broader time blocks, more flexible schedules where they can flow with their rhythms, with their creativity or productivity. So when you're looking at these different high performers, it's great to take inspiration from them, but copying their system doesn't work unless you understand the why and the who and the how behind it. Why are they operating in this way? What industry are they in? What do their workflows look like? Who are they? What are their goals? What's important to them? What are some of their values? How are they doing it? How are they implementing certain things throughout their day so that these certain times of productivity all weave into one another? You and I have totally different goals. So of course we're gonna operate totally differently. Someone that has the intention of sacrificing every other thing except for building a massive empire, business, whatever, you see people go through those sacrifices. The Bezos, Musks, Zuckerbergs, who have really no actual personal lives, from what we can tell, and put everything into their business, of course there's a reason why they operate the way that they do. But someone more along the lines of, let's call it a digital nomad who wants to have freedom and flexibility and autonomy, they're not going to sacrifice everything just to build a massive empire. They're going to prioritize their workflows according to what their values are and their vision are for themselves. And so you really have to take a moment to pause and think, A, why are you comparing yourself to other people? But B, if you are comparing yourself to other people, are they the right people for who you are deep down, and how you're wired, and how you want to perform day in and day out? And that is what matters. And that brings me into insight number 3, which is self-awareness can be an exponential multiplier. And self-awareness exists across multiple spectrums, but specifically, if you can understand how you focus, how you process information, and how you operate best overall, you're gonna be able to become way more efficient with far less stress. This is gonna bring you a much clearer focus, it's gonna improve your decision making, and it's gonna remove a lot of that mental friction that you're experiencing trying to compare yourself to everyone else. And most of all, if nothing else, at least now you'll be able to understand this and be sustainable in your execution with whatever it is that the goals that you set. I've talked about a lot of these different topics on my Instagram. If you don't follow me yet, at Jesse H. Hoffman on Instagram, I hope you get some value from those shorts there. Here is where I want to go into some deeper information, so also make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and drop whatever you want to hear down below so that I can make more valuable, relevant videos. But what I want to leave you with is a self-audit that I want you to perform right now in order to gain some clarity over how you're wired, what to do, and why. So the first question that I want you to ask yourself is, when do I naturally do my best work? Really deeply understand that. Think of times where you're just flowing with creativity. For most people, it's in the early mornings. Second question to ask is, what are the types of tasks that just drain the hell out of me, even if I'm good at them? I think it's really important to have a clear understanding of where are you expending more mental energy that can be better allocated elsewhere. Even if they're things that you're good at, how is it creating more friction, and how might that friction actually be a net negative to accomplishing everything else? And the last question to ask yourself as part of this self-reflection, which of my activities actually feel like flow? Like I'm completely immersed, lost all sense of time, and feel like I'm engaged, working through a good challenge, and implementing my skills, compared to what feels like I'm forcing my productivity. Having a clear understanding of where you're spending your time and energy is gonna help you double down on the areas that really energize you and allow you to sustain longer stretches of focused effort. So if any part of this hit home for you in any way, you're probably not underperforming. You're most likely just misaligned. I have a lot more resources here for you, so drop a comment with any areas you're struggling with. Follow me on Instagram at Jesse H. Hoffman. I'm gonna continue to share mental performance tips for any professionals and entrepreneurs that actually want to build systems that fit within who they are. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.